Greetings, Dragon Ball fans, and welcome to the 9th part of my first What If series that follows the alternate, or possibly prime timeline, in which we look at what could have happened if Vegeta killed Gohan very early on during the Saiyan saga. In the previous parts, we saw Gohan's slow recovery from his extended stint in the time chamber come crashing down when the evil wizard Babidi took a firm hold on his mind, turning him loose on the ghosts that still plague him. Facing Majin Buu with his child Akujin and Gohan's twin boys, Goku and Jinbei, Akumu calls upon those years spent handling his slightly mad Master Gohan. This allows him to dig into this slightly unhinged incarnation of Buu's head, so to speak. With help from Akujin and the wily little Goku, they quickly turn Buu on his own master, Babidi. Once free from the wizard's influence, Buu's internal conflict between those two absorbed Kais and his original destructive self quickly come to blows. Manifesting as the powerful, sadistic, and grey-skinned evil Buu, they battled, albeit briefly, before good Buu was consumed. The newly formed Super Buu went on to consume both of Gohan's sons, first Jinbei, then Goku. The Majin influence waning with Babidi's untimely demise, then further bolstered by the apparent deaths of his sons, Majin Gohan has also called upon the years of desperately holding back against those jeering phantasms. He tears his mind free and back under what passes for his own control. After breaking the Z-Sword on the world of the Kais, the newly released Elder Kai was not of a mind to help, despite the threat of Buu. He took one look at Gohan and balked, refusing to empower this deeply broken man any further. All was not lost, however, as the wrinkled old Kai did let slip that Gohan's King Kai forged, Yardratian tempered, and time chamber abused Kaioken is functionally perfect. Combining this with his recently acquired legendary Super Saiyan 2 state, the Half Saiyan mustered more than enough energy to completely overwhelm the recently formed Kid Buu. Not only has Earth survived intact, but both the ancient Grand Supreme Kai, or Daikaioshin, and the massive South Supreme Kai were saved from Good Buu by the recently fused Akamu. They are now around to help pick up the pieces, and Akamu himself has since taken his place as Earth's guardian, as we approach the time where Beerus would normally have appeared. In the last part, there was a poll to decide whether or not the God of Destruction would awaken and head to Earth to meet and fight the slightly broken rival, and indeed he does. Bulma's birthday is going off without a hitch. There is food, friends, and cake. Lots and lots of cake. The whole of Cap City, formerly West City, is celebrating the birthday of the de facto matriarch of the Dragon World's restoration. The very pregnant Bulma herself revels in the attention and appreciation, while Gohan watches from the periphery. He is still not entirely comfortable around so many people. His reverie is interrupted by a vaguely familiar presence. Shin has arrived, but the Kai sports a worried look on his face. Suppressing a groan, Gohan starts to inquire when he sees first the old Daikaioshin leaning over a food cart, and then the wrinkled Elder Kai peering out from behind Shin. Shin ums and ahs a bit, then tells them that something ancient and powerful has awoken, and is heading for Earth. Catching Gohan's blatant eye roll, he quickly tells them of Beerus, the god of destruction. Is he bad? Well, no, he's a god who destroys things. He eats, sleeps, and blows stuff up. It's just what he does. Okay, but why Earth? They're just now finished fixing things. To casually wipe that all out after all the effort would be, well, it would be just like a god, wouldn't it? Doing what they want without rhyme or reason. The Elder Kai chimes into this to say not to take the destroyer lightly. Beerus is as cranky and humorless as he is powerful. He was, after all, the being that sealed him away inside that damned Z-Sword. I like him already, Gohan says with a smile. Shin does not get a chance to respond as the clearly Bifrost-inspired column of light descends on the gathering, and Beerus and Whis make their entrance. Drawn by the light show, Bulma hobbles over with a small entourage to greet the, visitors to the party. So the pool's that way, music's over there, kids' entertainment is there, and the snack bar is right behind you. Snacks? Is that food? Whis, I smell food. Yeah, over there, that row of huts you almost landed on. Beerus was not expecting this kind of welcome at all. The oracle fish had given him the bitterly disappointing news that the Saiyan and Namekian that had teamed up to kill Frieza were both dead, and only their respective offspring remained. At least the nap wasn't a total waste, as the man who killed Boo is standing right over there. And, wait, is that the old Daikaioshin? There are two Supreme Kais here? Well, that's a bit weird. Still, he has been cranky since he woke up, and several planets have already faced the wrath of the grumpy, unfed destroyer. He wasn't actually here for food this time, but why waste the chance? Worst case, there's nothing remotely tasty, despite the smells, and the Super Saiyan God thing is a bust as well. What's one more shattered planet before bed? He eyes the large Kai with suspicion, but seeing him gobble down something sweet-looking, Beerus's underlying purpose is forgotten for the moment. The three of them dive into tasting the various treats and morsels available. The smells were right. These are... Hey, waiter, what's this one called? That's sushi, and I'm not a waiter. This is my home. Bulma is about to lay into him when it's Gohan's turn to calm her with a hand on her shoulder. He steps forward, and nodding toward Elder Kai, who is busy ogling certain people over at the pool, he asks if it's true that he sealed that old perv into the Z-Sword. Now seeing Elder Kai, Beerus's mood shifts. How did he get out? Yeah, that's Gohan's bad, he admits, but his tone is not lost on Beerus. Is that disdain? When Gohan asks about putting him back, Beerus can only smile. Yeah, maybe later. There's so much delicious... Oh, right. He remembers why he came all this way. Beerus asks Gohan what he knows about the Super Saiyan God, to which Gohan can only shrug, having never heard of it. I mean, Super Saiyan? Sure. My dad found that, and even 4-year-old Panch can manage it. But a Super Saiyan God? Why would anyone want to be a god? Playing games with mortals' lives? Yeah, no thanks. Well, Beerus has come here for a Super Saiyan God, so a god is what he wants to face. That burning red aura and hair. He tingles slightly just thinking about it. Red aura, huh? Maybe there's something there, and Gohan's willing to humor the guy for their, shall we say, shared dislike. There's the briefest of flickers as Gohan's aura comes to life and fades away just as quickly. Well contained it may be, but it's not God-Ki, and Beerus can see that. Though the depth there is impressive. He kinda wants to fight it, but maybe after a few more tasty treats. Gohan asks what the destroyer will do if he agrees to fight. What are the, rules of the match? Will he go on his merry way and not bother them again, or will he destroy the planet, as his name implies? What? And waste the source of all this wonderful food? No, he will not, especially not if Whis has anything to say about it, and the look upon the Daikaioshin's face is also something that Beerus does not want to deal with right now. So it's a friendly match then, is it? I suppose that's doable. Bulma, while irritated at the interruption, has been listening to this exchange. Her opinion of the Kais has certainly been colored by Gohan's less-than-reverent attitude, but she can see the relative harmlessness of a quote-unquote friendly match. Just not here. Not on her birthday. And if this god of destruction means to break their hard-won planet, well, that's a big fat no. Handing Gohan a wristband and one of those new capsules, she tells him that it'll be fine. See, look, it's on a timer. Despite his trust in her, a shiver runs up his spine as he looks at the capsule in his hand. Taking a deep breath to calm himself, he pulls the wristband on, clicks the capsule, and drops it on the ground between himself and Beerus. They disappear inside a small dome that unfolds around them both. A moment later, the dome bursts open with a loud pop and a light dusting of red fur. It then quickly folds itself back up into its capsule. A slightly scuffed Beerus is standing there with a big grin on his face, holding up a very disheveled and shirtless Gohan, who staggers off to a chair and collapses into it. Whis raises an eyebrow and summons his staff. As Bulma awkwardly brings a massive plate of food over to Gohan, a crowd gathers around the attendant, trying to catch a glimpse of whatever he's looking at so intently in his staff. They watch as the dome surrounding Gohan and Beerus shimmers and vanishes, revealing the stale, oppressive white of the time chamber. As the image of Gohan taps on his wristband, they both shiver visibly again with the memory of that place. Beerus, meanwhile, looks around, asking what this place is. It's a pocket dimension? He'd need to ask Bulma or Akamu for details. Gohan then says that the dimension will collapse in about 10 minutes, so hopefully that's long enough. His hair starts to lift up, arcs of electricity running down the strands along with flickers of golden green. He assumes a ready stance, his hair wafting gently between the arcs, to which Beerus smiles and responds in kind. The spectators watch through the small globe as Gohan calmly slips from base straight into the legendary Super Saiyan 2 state. In a blur, Gohan strikes at Beerus, sending shockwaves rippling through the condensed air in the time chamber as the cat god tumbles away. Once he stops himself and looks up, a broad, feral grin is seen on his face. He looks around briefly for his target before being slammed into the infinitely hard and ungiving ground. Beerus's grin widens as he slowly starts to match Gohan, eventually catching and slamming him to the ground. Gohan then pauses, taking a slow breath, then erupts in the deep red aura of Kaioken. The overlapping auras flare, blinding the spectators as Gohan surges up towards Beerus, again connecting. The God of Destruction was ready this time, though, and does not travel that far. Beerus calls out from the food cart that Whis can skip this part, but the angel ignores him, watching intently. When Beerus looks back at the mortal, he sees only two impossibly thin, twisting beams of the Makang Kosapo arcing out towards him. He dodges back, but the beams weave through the retreating cat's defensive barrage. As they reach those last few meters toward him, Beerus vanishes and appears behind Gohan, hand raised. He swings his hand down to hit the back of Gohan's head, but hits only air. Gohan in turn appears behind Beerus, wrapped in a deeper, angrier pulse of red. His fist, already in mid-swing, connects with the cat's head, actually ragdolling him off the nearby ground. Panting, Gohan picks himself up as Beerus walks up to him, rubbing the side of his face. Gohan asks how much more Beerus needs to be satisfied. He just smiles another predatory grin and asks Gohan if that's all he can do, but the man shakes his head slightly. As an arc of lightning runs along his now released tail, Gohan's arms start to sprout thick golden green fur, and he begins to grow larger. The still forming Ozaru swipes at the cat with a roar, missing, but only barely. Beerus laughs as he blocks a flurry of attacks. That silly Saiyan Ozaru form won't help. Why even try? Standing there, partially formed, the beast tilts its head and chuckles, a deep, gravelly sound.
No,
it rumbles.
It's just a doorway.
Gohan starts pulling in what little ki was escaping, squeezing, twisting it, further than the Ozaru trigger he'd stumbled upon accidentally those many years ago in the time chamber. The Ozaru's growth slows and stops before starting to shrink. As it settles into a mangy, fanged abomination, Beerus approaches him again. Still not a Super Saiyan God, the destroyer says, with just a touch of irritation. With a roar, the still hulking, clawed and fanged man-beast dives forward, catching a leg and slamming it back and forth on the hard, unforgiving ground. They should have used this place for the tournaments. Finally breaking free, Beerus backs away, rapidly dodging the incoming strikes and blasts. The shaggy, not quite mini Ozaru flares with red energy as it slowly resolves into something still fuzzy, but much less mangy. The red burns deeper and brighter with each successive hit, miss, and block. Ultimately, the destroyer's power again catches up with the monstrosity, and Gohan again starts losing ground faster than his Kaioken can keep increasing. There is a high-pitched trilling sound, and the burning red aura fades away, revealing the red-furred Super Saiyan 4 Gohan. He stops abruptly and drops back to the ground. Beerus, from a distance this time, asks if that's all he's got. No, he thinks he can go higher, but he's never pushed himself even this far before. Even this form is something he's only felt, never actually used. He thinks he can go further, but he's not sure if it would kill him. And besides, at 100 times Kaioken, it's hard enough to feel, let alone see past his own tightly packed aura. Oh yeah, and time's almost up, so unless they want to be ejected violently, they need to stand close to each other. Beerus considers for a moment, then approaches and reaches out a hand as Gohan slumps back to his base, red fur shedding from him. Whis looks away from the staff, smiling broadly, and asks Beerus just how much of his power was that.
Oh, never mind that, Beerus mumbles over another mouthful. I'm not a Super Saiyan God.
Gohan is fortunately too tired to make any snarky comments about how he has no interest in being a god, so Akamu steps in to ask what they actually know about the so-called Saiyan god. Would their Shenron know about it? Akamu himself has no idea, of course, or does the dragon have access to the Namekian wiki? Well, what's the harm in asking, right? Oh, okay, so 5 pure-hearted Saiyans, yeah, pour their power into a 6? Let's see here, do half Saiyans and quarter Saiyans, let alone unborn ones, count? So, best case, that's only 5, and there aren't even any pure-blood Saiyans left that they know of. A knowing glance from Bulma and Akamu elicited a groan from Gohan. Not that again. You were just there a few months ago. Can't we leave them be? Well, yeah, but we need another Saiyan, don't we? Gohan finds he just can't go. He can't face saying goodbye to his mother again. And Akamu can't go because he's the Guardian now. Someone else, however, has, after learning about the time ship, been working up the courage to ask about saying her own goodbyes. Now, seizing the opportunity, Videl steps forward and says that she'll go. They got their goodbyes, but she never got hers. Okay, fine, but just remember, it's not what you'd expect. And if there's any trace of those android things, best to bug out. The 9-year-old Jinbei scoffs at this and says he'll go along with her, just in case she needs a bit of muscle. Beerus is happily gorging himself again, so pays little attention to all this, but Whis is quietly watching, an eyebrow lifted. When the large round ship ascends into the sky, then shimmers just like that dome's walls, and vanishes, his curiosity is very much piqued. So, what will Videl find in the past? Will her father have survived? What about Cell? With the time machine still set to 10 years, hopefully she doesn't appear in the middle of anything too interesting. Find out next time on Dragon Ball. What if Vegeta killed Gohan?